What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host that just had some of those crispy, spicy tuna ball things from Benihana's, and woo, those are so good. Oh my god. Zach, and today's subreddit is r/PettyRevenge. This story's called, "Oh, you want to be a creep? Here, let me give you a taste of your own medicine." So I work at a boba place and started working there for about a couple months now. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at customer service, but I do know the good and bad side of it, especially when the customers feel entitled to get away with everything. My company had always made it clear that we must solve any issues with customers with a smile and with kindness, which I don't mind, as I am not a confrontational or violent person. This day I was working the morning shift, and it happened to get fast really quickly with mobile orders and in-store orders coming in fast. For our coffees, which are popular during the morning, we had to finish brewing fresh espresso, as it is one of the options to add more espresso shots into your drinks. I quickly explained to our customers the situation and that we'll get to their drinks right away. The way we are separated from the front view of the store to the back where we prepare the drinks is through two separate glass barriers. One is right at the front where customers can see us but still are a bit far. The other is further back into the kitchen, where you would literally have to be really tall in order to see us preparing drinks. So as I come back from boiling boba, I see a tall white male standing over the second glass barrier, just staring at us. I ask him if he's here for a mobile order or if he needed anything. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Nope, just watching," which creeped me and my coworkers out, as we were literally being watched doing everything we did. And he did all this with an eerie smile, and it didn't make it any less creepy that we were all girls at this shift. I took my shift leader to the back and asked, is he allowed to do that? Which there was no policy that said he couldn't, and we couldn't really stop him, which is what my shift leader said. I was just super tense the whole time working as he was there, so I did the one thing I could think of doing. If he wanted to look at us without any hesitation, why shouldn't I? So I legit made direct eye contact with this man and did all my work, preparing drinks, putting labels on cups, and refilling utensils, without losing focus, and I kept all this up with a smile. He noticed this and quickly tried looking elsewhere around me, but I did not lose the eye contact. And then he angrily asked for my name, which of course I gave him a fake name, and he quickly went back to where the other customers were standing. My heart was racing and my face was beet red, but the satisfaction that he felt just as uncomfortable as he made us was worth it. I later found out he's actually a regular that does that all the time, but only to shifts where there's only females at. However, now when he sees me from the front of the first window barrier, he doesn't try coming any closer. I know if he did, I'll just do it again. Thank you for reading. I know this isn't like anything epic, but it was something I'm really proud of doing, as I never thought I could stand up to someone like that. Well, I thought it was cool. I thought it was actually amazing, OP. While I do understand that like baristas and stuff, they can be doing some cool stuff if you go to the right place, but they are not zoo animals. So if you want to watch, you gotta be respectful about it. You gotta make sure that they're not uncomfortable. And just don't be creepy, man. Like if you see some pizza guy doing some pizza guy stuff and it's cool to you, just be like, "Whoa, can I watch? I think that's so cool." And they're gonna be like, "Well, I mean, if you insist." And boom, no one's creeped out, they're flattered, and you get to watch. This story's called, "Drill Sergeant Finishes Doing the Push-Ups Himself." I'm not sure if this story is true, but it's often told in my family as an inside joke. Please don't ask me for specifics, since I hear it only when my father and uncle are a bit drunk already. It happened when the generation of my parents were still in college, or just out of it, so late 80s, early 90s. There was still mandatory military service at the time, but you could not do it if if you went to college. You still had to do some training, but it was mostly theoretical, light physical training and weapon handling. Here comes my uncle. Because of his studies, he lost a lot of weight and looked more like a new recruit rather than someone who just finished 5 years of college. This is important because during training, if you had a 5+ year degree, you were given the lowest officer rank. He was just casually walking when a drill sergeant, thinking he was one of the new recruits who was lost, and started screaming at him and ordered him to get on the ground and do push-ups. My uncle just sighed and turned around, showing his rank, and with a smile said, "Now that you wasted my time, how about you get on your face and give me 20? Oh shit! Yo, how many of y'all military peeps have like dreamt of that? I don't know if drill sergeants are as big jerks as they're made out to be on everything ever, and if it's really normal to have this sort of like, I'm gonna get this guy one day sort of attitude toward him. So enlighten me, please. I'm curious. This story's called Roommate Wants Tea? Too bad. Okay, a little background. I live with 4 people, and having 5 roommates in one house is tough. Brovid raises tension, of course, so I try to let things go in an effort to stay sane. I work from home, and so do 2 of my other roommates. Roommate 4 has a day job she leaves every day for. Roommate 5 is a cook, so he is usually home during the day and at work from 4 to 11 p.m. Roommate number 5 is usually a problem with noise. He blasts music, blares his TV, slams the front door coming in and out 10 times in 5 minutes, etc. I'm not the type to do the passive-aggressive text thing, so anytime he's being loud, I try to go downstairs to ask him to stop. Magically, as soon as my feet hit the stairs, he's always suddenly quiet, which is what I wanted, so fine. We don't have the conversation where I ask him to be quieter. Today was a new low. The kettle starts whistling. Now, my room is on the 3rd floor, and the kitchen is on the 1st. I could hear the screaming kettle 2 floors up and through my closed door. I was about to leave, so I was pulling my clothes out of my basket and then changing. I ordered groceries on my phone and then made sure I had a list of all the things that were out so I could go pick them up at the corner store. I then used the restroom. Point is, I lingered, and that kettle just kept screaming. Finally, I went downstairs to take the kettle off the burner. On my way on the 2nd floor, I can hear through their bedroom doors that both my work-from-home roommates are on conference calls. When I get to the 1st floor, the front door is wide open, and wonderful roommate number 5 is chilling right outside. So when I take the kettle off the burner, I decide to get petty. Roommate number 5 doesn't deserve hot water anymore because he's selfish. I dumped all the water out. If he wants tea, he can actually pay attention to the kettle next time. You should have just used the hot water yourself. But I see what you did, and I like it. Pretty cool stuff. This story's called PettyRevenge, Canadian style. So this happened during my 3rd year of my undergraduate. I went to a small but respected out-of-province university. By small, I mean the campus only had a couple of buildings, not including the dorms. But one thing we did have was a Tim Hortons in one of the main buildings in a common area, because Canada. It was always crowded in the morning and right at 12 because everyone wanted to get some coffee and a breakfast sandwich before class, so most of us learned to just wait until the next class period began to grab something. At the end of the day, nearing 6 o'clock when they closed, however, was a different story. By then, no one wanted breakfast food, so there was rarely a line, though the selection had been significantly reduced by then. Whatever they had on hand, that was what you could order. No fresh bagels or donuts were going in the oven. That was fine by me. I had a class that got out at 5:30, and the next bus wouldn't come until 6 o'clock. So I would just grab a plain bagel, because there was always plain bagels, and wait. This day, however, was different, because the theater department was holding a rehearsal for the yearly musical. There was a line when I got out of class. class. You win some, you lose some. I got in line and waited. Two people got in line behind me. Theater kids. You know the kind. Pretentious and loud, yelling over each other and laughing obnoxiously, just being overly obnoxious. Normally, I would just try and tune them out, except since it was a small university, I knew these guys. They were always like this. Always loud and disruptive, and one time they even plugged a laptop into one of the TVs in the common areas to watch gay video of the adult variety after hours. Just to be clear, I am bi. I am not homophobic. But when you're sitting in a common area doing a reading for a class in absolute silence, only to suddenly hear groans and moans and the slapping of skin is ugh. Anyway, they get behind me, and within a minute, I already feel a headache coming on. They're going on and on about how there are 2 iced cinnamon rolls left, one for each of them, and how they're going to enjoy munching them down. The girl, they were a boy-girl pair, makes a loud, vulgar comment about the icing looking like something else and licks her lips in a suggestive way to her friend. Everyone was looking at them. Everyone looked uncomfortable, but they didn't care, and no one wanted to say anything. I was directly ahead of them in line. The professor ahead of me moved to the side to wait for his coffee. I approached the register, grabbed a bottle of Diet Coke, and promptly asked for the last 2 cinnamon rolls. I paid, they bagged them up, and since I don't have to wait for a hot beverage, decided to leave and wait for the bus outside. I had to walk past them to leave, and the look of pure shock on their faces is something I'll never forget. Uh-oh. So are like theater kids like an international brand? You know what I'm saying? Like, you met one, you met them all throughout the history of the world, because every single theater kid I've ever met has fit that description. They're all perverts too, man. Just gross. Like, back in my high school, the band kids and the theater kids, load of nasties. Some of them were cool though. And this is coming from someone who loves theater, so I wasn't a theater kid though, due to circumstances. And for that, I am thankful, because I am not one of those freaks. It's a joke, all in good fun. I love everyone. This story's called They Won't Social Distance While Voting, happening right now. Sorry, I am on mobile. I am doing early voting right now. I wear a mask and social distance. I leave more than 6 feet between me and the people in front of me. A group of 3 people come up and join the line behind me. They are practically touching me, less than a foot away. Here is the conversation. Hi, would you mind stepping back a little for social distancing?
No.
Please? I'm immunocompromised and really can't catch COVID-19.
Brovid is a lie. It isn't even real. Screw your social distancing.
A variety of insults about how I am a sheeple and dumb. I pull out a cigarette and light it. The wind is blowing it right in their face. I now have more than 6 feet and a bunch of pissed off people calling me names. I don't care, because I am at least 12 feet from people who don't believe in the virus. I know it is rude and passive aggressive, but I'll do whatever I can to not catch this. FYI, I'm already cutting down and my end date is in 3 days for quitting smoking. Edit. They were the only ones behind me. No one else came for 6 minutes, and when they did, I put it out. When they stepped closer, I pulled one out again and they backed up, so I didn't light it. I never smoke around non-smokers, even outside. My stupidity for smoking shouldn't be put on others. You know, a famous saying by Mark Twain is that, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, obviously, but quitting smoking is one of the easiest things in the world, or something like that, because I've done it thousands of times. Best of luck in your endeavor, though, to quit smoking, because it is nasty. It makes you smell nasty, all that nasty stuff. Smoking sucks. Tobacco is foul, and yeah, there you go. Also, vote if it's not too late for you. I don't know. This story's called You Make Pool Not Fun, So You Aren't Playing Anymore. I play pool pretty frequently, because it's a fun, social activity in a bar. Most of the time, this is a love the game, hate the player story. The dive bar where I learned to play is pretty busy at night, but the evenings can be dead. Last week I was there around supper time, and the only other customer there was an arrogant, self-righteous, far-right-winger prick. I'll call him Chad. I didn't like the guy, but I was too easygoing to tell him to F off, so I ended up playing pool with him. There was nothing else to do. It's clear from the start that Chad thinks he's better than he is, does doesn't know proper strategy, considers his lucky shots skillful, taunts me for missing shots, but doesn't notice that I'm taking tough shots to keep things interesting. I won 6 of 7 games we played, and he thinks we're about even in skill. By now, it's been over an hour, and the bar is getting busier. There's a lineup of people wanting to play pool, so Chad suggests playing teams. At this point, I'm annoyed but keeping my cool and agree to play. The team we played came pretty close to winning fairly, but left me with an easy shot on my last ball. If I won it, I could win the game and the table. This is when Chad decides that I need coaching on where to shoot. He starts pointing out the shots for me, leaning over the table and telling me how easy it is. Out of frustration, I just shot the 8-ball down and lost the game on purpose. Very smoothly dropped the cue stick and walked out while he called after me. Losing has never been so satisfying. By that point, I was just done with everyone and everything. He would have had to join the back of the lineup if he wanted to play again, and it had grown enough to take almost an hour. Mainly, I just hope he realizes what a jerk he was being. Wow, losing a game on purpose? I thought you were gonna like hustle him or something. That would have been cool. This was funny. Losing a game on purpose. I couldn't do that. Not with all those people watching. Alright, this story's called I Spat Water in My Teacher's Face. This is a short one, but I hope you still enjoy it. I was in year 1, grade 2, so I was about 5 years old. In year 1, we have the same teacher for every subject. I didn't realize this at the time, but my teacher was a horrible person. She was racist, sexist, and had favorite students, and she didn't even try to hide it at all. For some reason, she hated me. She would make fun of the fat students in ways we wouldn't understand because we were so young. The revenge. This revenge, I didn't even mean to do. One break time, my friend dared me to fill my mouth with water and keep it there all break time. So I did, and clueless old me was so proud, I decided not to swallow it and bring it into lessons. She called the register, and when she called my name, I couldn't talk normally because I had a mouthful of water, but I still didn't want to swallow, so I answered with the water still in my mouth. I don't know if you have ever tried to talk with a mouthful of water, but you sound like you're doing a funny voice. She called my name again, so I answered again. A few people were giggling at my funny voice, and she called me up to the front of the class. She knelt down to my face level, saw my cheeks, and thinking they were full of air and I was trying to be funny again, she took both of her hands and squeezed my cheeks. I remember seeing the water soak her hair, shirt, and face, and seeing it start to drop off her chin as the entire class burst into laughter. We had a substitute teacher the rest of the day, and the best part, she wasn't ever mean to me again. Thanks for reading this. This is my first post here, so I don't know if this belongs here or somewhere else, but yeah. I don't know if it's PettyRevenge, but I'm glad it's on here because that's a beautiful story, funny, and I'm glad it worked out in the end with the teacher. Yeah, that's it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.